With Alter Ego now in beta, it's pretty clear that this game has some serious potential. Containing a roster of 5 different survivors with completely different playstyles and unique abilities, it can be a bit overwhelming on deciding who to pick. So in today's video, I will be ranking every survivor in Alter Ego. Let's get into it. Our first character will be the Noob. Noob is the starter survivor that all players will have at the beginning of the game. Noob is completely free to play, yet surprisingly extremely strong. With a difficulty of just 2 stars, Noob is not too much of a headache to learn. Noob has 100 health and 100 stamina and has 3 abilities. Noob's first ability is Bloxy Cola, which when used will cause Noob to be inflicted with slowness for 2 seconds while he drinks the Bloxy Cola, and afterwards he will gain a 10% speed boost for 10 seconds. This ability has a cooldown of 50 seconds, which is actually quite short. It is extremely good for getting away from the killer as long as you time it well. However, paired with Noob's next ability, you can almost guarantee a safe escape from the killer, but more on that in just a second. Noob's second ability is Slingshot, which after being activated will have a wind-up of 1.6 seconds before firing a projectile. If you hit the killer with this projectile, they will be stunned for 1.65 seconds. It has a cooldown of 45 seconds. This ability is good for both saving yourself and protecting your teammates from a distance, since the ability is ranged. In my opinion, the best way this ability can be used is when combined with the Bloxy Cola. If you stun the killer with your slingshot, then immediately use your Bloxy Cola, you can guarantee a safe escape even if the killer is hard targeting you. Noob also has a passive ability called Adrenaline. This ability gives the Noob a 15% speed boost for 10 seconds the moment the exit door is open. While this basic guarantees you a safe escape once the exit door is open, this isn't really needed, since once the exit doors are open, even without this ability, it is pretty easy to escape. Overall, Noob is a very well-rounded and balanced character, being able to both survive on his own and help defend teammates. I will give Noob a solid A tier. Next up, we have Patient Zero, and oh boy do I have a lot to say about this survivor. Patient Zero is the survivor most players unlock second, due to him costing only 100 Sol, and also having the difficulty of 2 stars. Patient Zero only has 90 health and 100 stamina, which is 10 less than Noob. Patient Zero also has 3 abilities. His first ability is Vital Mints, which once activated, has a wind-up of 3 seconds, and then for 5 seconds, Patient Zero will heal 7 HP per second for 5 seconds, which is 35 HP in total. However, if Patient Zero is attacked while healing, the healing will stop, so don't pop this mid-chase unless you want to be sent back to the lobby. This ability has a cooldown of 45 seconds. One good thing about this ability is it means Patient Zero is completely self-sufficient and doesn't need to rely on his teammates for heals. Patient Zero's second ability is Dissociate, which can be used instantly without any wind-up and turns the player invisible for 6 seconds. This ability has a cooldown of 40 seconds, which is not long considering how overpowered this ability is. As long as you have some distance on the killer before popping this ability, it is basically a guaranteed way to get out of a chase. Lastly, Patient Zero has a passive ability called Anxiety. This ability supposedly will alert the player whenever the killer is within 35 studs of them. In theory, this should allow the player to always avoid the killer. Unfortunately, this ability doesn't really seem to work. I don't know if I've just gotten unlucky, of if after the game's beta release, the ability has completely broken. But whenever I have played Patient Zero, I have gotten no warning whatsoever that the killer was near. I mean, just watch this clip right here. As you can see, there was absolutely no warning. Just remember that this will probably be fixed soon, as Alter Ego is a new game and still very buggy. Patient Zero's biggest problem is that he is a complete survivalist and does not add to the team whatsoever. Due to his low health, he can't tank hits for other players, and all of his abilities only benefit him. So while Patient Zero is an outstanding survivalist, I would recommend players just use Noob instead, as he is also a very good survivalist, but also adds value to the team. For that reason, I will have to give Patient Zero B tier, because unless you are playing solo, Noob will almost always be the better option. Moving on, we have the TDS icon himself, Commander. Commander is the 3rd cheapest survivor, costing 180 Sol. Commander has a difficulty of 3, along with 100 health, 100 stamina, and 3 abilities. Commander's first ability is Survey. Upon activating it, it has a windup of 2 seconds, and then reveals the nearest task to your location to all players within 27 studs of you, and the killer's location for 15 seconds. With a cooldown of only 45 seconds, this ability is a great way to quickly complete all the objectives, shave off time, keep tabs on the killer, and quickly locate your teammates. Commander's second ability is Strength in Numbers. Yes, it's not called Call to Arms. I'm sorry, TDS fans. This ability can only be activated when around teammates, and after a windup of 2.5 seconds, it grants a 10% speed boost to both you and all allies within 27 studs of you for 10 seconds. With a cooldown of only 45 seconds, this is essentially a better version of Noob's ability. The only catch is you must be by your teammates for this to work. My suggestion to anyone interested in playing Commander is to always stay by at least one teammate at all times, preferably a Fjord if possible, since he will be able to protect you. Commander's passive ability is called Leadership, which will reveal all players within 40 studs. This ability is great for always making sure you are near a survivor or going to a survivor to get help if you are being chased by the killer. Commander is extremely powerful when used right and is very team-based. The amount of support Commander can give to the team with speed boosts and being able to easily locate the killer is essential. It's a good idea to run a team with at least one Commander. For that reason, the Commander is the first S-tier survivor of the video. Next up on the list, we have Toothy. Toothy is the second most expensive survivor, costing 240 Sol. He has a difficulty of 3 stars and has a health of 90 with 100 stamina. Toothy has 3 abilities. His first ability is Healing Enchant, which might be the most important and powerful ability in the entire game. Upon activating, the ability has windup of 3 seconds, and then heals both you and all allies within 20 studs, 30 HP. With a cooldown of 55 seconds, this ability is likely the strongest in the game. Keep in mind that the amount of HP you heal will be reduced 3 for each survivor in your healing circle. However, this isn't really noticeable and caps at 15. I cannot stress enough how insanely strong this ability is. Toothy is the only character that can heal other players. This means with just this ability alone, you can save both you and your teammates, which is absolutely overpowered. Toothy's second ability is Ichor Potion. This ability can be used instantly and has a cooldown of only 30 seconds. This ability is a projectile that can be thrown up to 8 studs. It can hit multiple players at once and has different effects depending on if it hits the killer or your teammates. If the Ichor hits the killer, it will reduce their movement speed by 30% for 2 seconds. This might not sound like much, but it can help you either regain stamina or get ground if you are being chased. If the Ichor hits you or your teammates, a shield will spawn around a player or players it hit, and will essentially give them 20 extra HP for 8 seconds. This ability is also extremely powerful, especially when used correctly. Using this ability on a teammate while they are in chase is very powerful, as you can increase their health briefly while also slowing down the killer. In my opinion, Toothy is a survivor you must absolutely have on your team. Toothy is without a doubt the most necessary addition to any team, being able to easily keep the entire team alive if played right. Just remember that any competent killer will try to kill you as soon as possible, so make sure to always stay by your teammates for safety. For all of the reasons I just gave, I think it's safe to say that Toothy is the strongest survivor in the entire game, and for that reason, he deserves S+ tier. Lastly, we have the most expensive survivor, Fjord. Costing a steep price of 320 Sol and having a difficulty of 3 stars, Fjord is typically the last survivor most players will unlock. Fjord has a beefy 120 health, 100 stamina, and only 2 abilities. Fjord's first ability is Slash, which upon activation has a windup of 1 second before Fjord swings his sword. If this hits the killer, it will stun them for 2.75 seconds. However, if Fjord misses, he will be slowed by 30% for 2 seconds. Since this ability also has a cooldown of 45 seconds, this ability can either be very rewarding, stunning the killer the longest of any stun in the entire game, or it can give the killer a free hit or 2 on you. I would like to point out that as long as you are at least somewhat competent, this ability is very easy to land, given how janky the hitboxes are in this game. Fjord's second ability is Warrior's Call, which upon activation will wind up for 4 seconds before giving both you and all survivors in a 15-stud radius a 20% damage resistance for 10 seconds. This is a really good ability to use as soon as you revive a player, since it will be harder for the killer to instantly kill them. And if you use your slash ability while this one is active, it will make missing your slash much less punishing. Fjord's main role in the team is to protect all of the players from the killer. However, you should always prioritize supporters like Commander or Toothy. Fjord has a very aggressive playstyle, and his beefy 120 HP will make sure you can stay aggressive for longer and tank hits for weak survivors. Overall, Fjord is definitely necessary to have on the team, but I don't think he adds nearly as much as Commander or Toothy, so I will give him a solid A tier. Anyways, that's all from me. Thank you for watching, and please consider hitting the subscribe button on your way out. It shows YouTube that people like my content and will help a small channel like mine out a lot in the algorithm. Have a good rest of your day. Glitched out.